Good.
I realized that in fact I am creative, and that is something that I need to continue to practice and embrace more. So I love that first tip is you kind of have to not only work it as a muscle, but you need to believe that creativity can be, you can grow that and feel more confident in it. So tip number two is the basis of, not only is it, problem solving, but it's this idea of following your curiosity. If you And when I think of curiosity, I think of the ability to ask questions, right? And so some of these things, when you go back to this idea that creativity is just problem solving, in order to solve a problem, there has to be a question that needs to be asked in order to move with that. So one of the things is think about those things that you're curious about, and even as a way to practice your creativity is to really ask yourself, what kinds of things do I enjoy? If you follow that joy and that passion and the curiosity about that, ask those questions, and in that it will actually help you be more creative. And so, thinking about, as an example for me, I have recently realized after doing a year-long improv program that I love the feeling of being on stage, but maybe not just the traditional type of improv is my thing. And so all of a sudden I was thinking about some of the other things that I enjoyed, such as music. I love to sing. I played an instrument for many, many years, and I decided to start taking up ukulele. And I love it. And I'm finding myself learning certain things and going through the motions of learning the different techniques, learning the different notes. But then I also find myself strumming the ukulele in ways that I want to strum. And that is fostering creativity. And so being curious and following what feels good is a definite way to continue that trend of being more creative. So, Gary, what do you think?
And I agree 100%. And what do you think, you watching? What are you curious about? And Apryl, when you were talking, it was reminding me of the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah.
And in that book, she told this story about this gentleman who was going through this. He just felt uninspired. Super successful individual, and he felt uninspired. He was in a rut, and he just followed his curiosity, and he painted his daughter's bike with stars and sparkles, and he just had fun doing it. And his daughter took it out, and her friends loved it. And before he knew it, there was a line around the block outside of his garage, and all of these little girls wanted their bikes painted just like his daughter's. And he was just following something that he was curious in. And that, again, going back to tip number one, work it like a muscle, following your curiosity, looking at, like, Hansel and Gretel, how, like, the way that they found their way back home is they had the little breadcrumbs. Imagine your curiosity is like that. What is something that you're curious in? How can you go deep with that? And then, something else. And that's my take on it. So yeah,
love it.
It's a great segue into tip number 3, which is all about play. And that is just something, as those of you who know me know that I'm the play guy. However, if you really think about like the science behind that, I'd like to invite you to think, when was the last time you played like a kid? What about you, bro? When was the last time you played like a kid?
Well, I mean, because I talk to you all the time, I play probably more often than the average person. And I mean, because I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, I get to play a lot of the time. And so I'm trying to think of a specific example, but I feel like, just even this morning or yesterday after, my kids finished their homework, me and my son were playing with this new Nerf gun that he got and just trying to put it all together, and then watching him shoot bullets everywhere, which is amazing. But I'm always surrounded by play, and what I love about that is just, here's another example. This past Saturday, we had 3 families over to do a family game night. That is playing. We played 2 different games, so we do it all the time.
Yeah. And so the cool thing about play is when you are engaging in play, you get into this flow-like state. The researcher Mihai Csikszentmihalyi talks about flow as in time goes by like that. You have just enough challenge and you're getting immediate feedback. And again, it just feels like you can just do this all day, every day. And imagine if you took that spirit of play and applied it to a business challenge. You applied it to your goals for 2020. And, the cool thing about that, I like to reference, the movie The Sandlot. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. And in the movie The Sandlot, their goal is to, Smalls, he hit the ball over the fence and they're trying to get it back. And they are essentially being extremely creative because they're trying to find what are different ways they can try to get the ball from over the fence so that they don't get eaten by the huge dog or get in trouble and things like that. And the cool thing about play is that it is a simulation. So your unconscious mind doesn't know like, oh, all right, we're just doing this thing. But the cool thing is you're building muscle. You're building creative muscle. So if you can invoke the spirit of play into anything that you're doing, you're going to naturally and easily get more creative.
Yeah, totally. Right. You got to find ways to win too. Like, especially when you're playing those strategy games, you're like, you want to think of a different way to win without people knowing that you're on that path to beating them.
Yes. And so we got a few comments. Oh, look, it's Patricia.
Hey. Yes.
She said she knows to follow what feels good. And then Chris, he said he loves the technique of responding to I don't know with what if you did know. That is a good point. What if you did know? And my buddy Steven, he likes to play with slingshots and mace. That was like him playing as a kid. So yes, thank you for sharing all of that. And so just a real quick recap. Number 1, work it like a muscle. Number 2, follow your curiosity. And 3, bring the spirit of play. And so that was the 6th installment of the ASC Success Quickie. And Apryl, how about you tell our friends what the ASC is and how they can get involved?
Yes, absolutely. You guys, we are the Accountability Success Circle. We are a growing community of awesome people who really, every time I see you put that up on the screen, it makes me laugh. We are a community who is focused on having fun and getting stuff done, supporting each other, and just knowing that, going through goals needs to be fun and exciting because life should be fun and exciting. And so we focus not on the hustle and the struggle, but how do we do this and experience extreme joy? And we help everybody in the community hold accountable to what their ideal lives are. And we are in the midst of basically creating 2020 plans. We did that as our focus for this past month. And so we did a webinar last week. Was it last week? 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
I can't even remember. It's 2 weeks ago, talking about how to create this 2020 plan because we want to have intentional lives. And so this is kind of the time of the year where we do that. And then we support throughout the year to make sure that these plans are being supported, are moving forward and not getting stuck. So if you want to hear more about the Accountability Success Circle, you can just for sure check us out on the URL that Gary is about to show up on the screen. And it's either on Gary's website, breakthroughplay.com, or my website, thecheerfulmind.com. Check us out. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. We are just trying to use this quickie to share just some of the many things that we share with our community. And so we would love to have you join us if this is something that these tips are helpful.
Yes. And then quick clarification, Stephen, when he was posting his comments, he was being creative. He was giving us suggestions of how to get past the dog. Those aren't how he plays. He was saying slingshot, active camouflage.
I used to play with slingshots and fire. No.
Right? So anyways, yeah, thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.